Good morning.
So, first of all, we should talk about the fact that we're here at 10 o'clock in the morning. And most bands don't get up at 10 o'clock in the morning, let alone start work.
Yeah, but we work. I guess you could say we're burning the candle at both ends. We get up early and go to bed late.
Burning the candle, but burning the kind of work candle.
No, doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
We like early mornings and nights too.
Mm-hmm.
There's no point really sleeping weeks away by doing nothing.
There's too much to do.
Yeah.
But after a while it gets harder though, so you have to sleep. You kind of mix it in. You have a lot of days with like 3 or 4 hours of sleep, and then you get one with like 11, and then you're okay again.
But I'd be right in thinking you have maybe a stronger work ethic than many bands.
And we like to get stuff done, I guess. Yeah, a lot of bands don't work at all, it seems. And I guess this is, I mean, doing interviews, I don't know, it's just that I think we all think this is way too important to just not do anything. Mm-hmm. And there's so much stuff to do that you can't just, and we're far too restless to not do anything, I guess. Mm-hmm. And while we're away, we might as well do stuff, since we're not at home.
Yeah. You seem to have the clothes, the uniforms, the getting up early. You seem to do a lot of things that people join bands to get away from.
Oh yeah.
There's a certain discipline, there's a level of discipline which most bands are a way of avoiding all that.
Yeah, exactly, and most bands aren't really that good either, because as a result of that.
That's true.
But there is a connection between hard work and being good at something. It's seriously, practice makes perfect.
I think it has something to do with the fact that we do everything ourselves as well. We don't have a manager, and we sort of do everything, and so the sort of non-playing part of the band is really a job to us. But to sort of get the actual playing to be sort of to feel like it's spare time really. So it's not work, the fun part, you know. We don't want to see it as work. We want to see the other stuff as work, you know? And then we might as well work sort of normal hours.
It's a way of avoiding sort of becoming just jaded and spoiled, because all you have to do is play music. Because then you'll eventually start thinking of playing music as a job and something that you want to avoid. So that's why we do the office work ourselves as well. So it's office hours and then rock hours. Yeah. And even if it means working a 16-hour day, that's okay.
Because it's still not, you know, it's still something fun that we do when we stop working.
Okay, well that's a very interesting perspective, because that is, I think, you're right, and musicians do get to the point where they think that playing music is just like work and something they should be avoiding as well.
Yeah.
You reach the point where the bands just...
And they become spoiled and they think that the world owes them something.
Yeah. Music suffers.
Yeah. I think pretty much everything we're doing as a whole is trying to avoid making the music suffer, actually. Because I guess it's kind of a combination of us wanting to run our band in a different way than other people run their bands. Mm-hmm. And also we're trying to figure out a way to have a rock band be good for longer than its life expectancy, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you don't have a manager, so you really do all the stuff. That's more. The rest of the stuff that other bands try and avoid.
Yeah.
Someone else to do.
No, we want to do everything everybody else is avoiding.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you don't know what happens with your band, and the band is our baby pretty much. It's what we made.
Yeah.
And to protect that, we sort of have to be involved in everything, so that we know that everything that somebody sees that has anything to do with the band, or everything that they hear about the band comes from us as opposed to coming from somebody else.
Mm-hmm. So you probably even know how much money you're earning.
I have no idea. That's the one part that's missing. Also, we have no idea about that for a reason. We wanted that to kind of work in the way that it worked for Elvis, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Which is basically, we have the money in one place, and then when somebody wants something, he has to say, I want that,
Mm-hmm.
and then he gets it.
Mm-hmm.
But you never know how much money you're making,
Instead
because it
of
would
sort
mess
of
you up.
having a bag full and just
Yeah.
trying to get rid of it, you know, it's just no point.
It would just burn in your pocket. If they gave Elvis all the money, he would have spent it even worse.
Yeah.
Well, they tried to make him spend it so that he would work harder and make more money for everyone else.
Oh yeah, kind of.
Hello, good morning.
That was easy though, because he only got like a 5 or like 3% of it.
Yeah, that's true.
So he had to work.
He had to work, yeah.
Yeah, because Graceland wasn't even that big. We went there.
You went
It's
there.
pretty
It's
small.
not, I know, it's weird, isn't it? You'd think it's going to be this huge
Yeah.
mansion. No. But he had the jet, of course.
Yeah, 2 jets.
And a lot of Cadillacs.
Yeah.
What was that? He bought 17 at one go,
Yeah.
one time.
It was a lot. There is like a book called, what's it called? Elvis, 100 and... It's a number, like 110 Cadillacs, and that's what he bought like 110 Cadillacs for other people.
Did you ever hear the John Hyatt song about Elvis's Cadillacs?
And no, I
It's a
never.
great song. It's about this guy who goes down to Graceland and steals one of Elvis's Cadillacs. And the line in the lyrics is, he wouldn't mind, hell, he gave it to his friends.
It's pretty good.
It's a good song. Okay, so
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I see how all this works now. How does it work in the 6, 7, 8 years you've got before you start to get successful and famous?
Then it was more a question of us having to do ourselves,
Yeah.
having to do everything ourselves, because it wasn't by design then, it was just the way it was.
I mean, it wasn't as much to do either. I mean,
Sure.
it was, and then we sort of had to, then we had to have sort of normal jobs in between.
But wouldn't people be saying to you, hey, you've got to get a manager? Hey,
Yeah,
you've
of
got to
course,
do
but we never understood why, you know,
Yeah.
because it wasn't that much to do. Now I can understand it more if someone told me to get a manager, but now we're such control freaks that
Yeah.
no one sort
It
of...
was already too late as well.
We have to train a person for like 15 years before we would trust him. It just
Yeah.
seems like we might as well do it ourselves,
Yeah.
because we've done it so long, so...
And also it was like, the first time somebody wanted to be our manager, it was, could be maybe in '99 or something. And then we'd had the band for 5 years already and done everything ourselves. And we could never really trust anybody, because, you know, you get a manager, you can't really know that they're actually doing something. You give them a percentage and basically a lot of trust.
Yeah.
Sure, you know, it seems to work out for a lot of bands, but I guess we just... It would just mean that they ask us all the questions.
Yeah.
Because we wouldn't, you know, it'd be weird having them make too many decisions themselves.
I mean,
We ask people for advice.
It sounds like we have a guy that we sort of hired, or he's a friend that sort of helps out with a lot of paperwork. You might call him an assistant or something, but I don't know what's his title.
It's like an anti-manager.
Yeah,
We do make the decision, he carries them out, I guess.
yeah.
He's like a shield to the outside world. He gets all the questions and then he gathers them, and once a week he asks them to us.
Or once a day more.
Once every 2 hours.
Yeah.
A lot of questions.
Yeah.
So, a lot of what you're doing, you say, is to avoid the kind of the usual decline that sets in bands and keep the band going. So therefore, the famous quote that keeps getting quoted back to you about 3 albums and then quit
Yeah,
this is it.
You can regret saying that now, or would you sticking to it?
No, I don't regret saying it. It's the way we felt at 17.
Yeah. But what happened was that we started to like the third album. So, and then we've even started to listen to like number 4 and 5. So, I mean, I think we're gonna give it a shot at least. And if it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, then we won't release it. But as long as we can make something that we think is really good, we might as well just.
Yeah. And we'll do a shot at the 4th album.
Yeah.
But if it's bad, we'll just say, I told you so.
Yeah.
We told you it couldn't be done.
So you've already started some songs on that?
No. We've just finished the third one. So
Yeah, we finished it like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. The unmastered.
No, it's just that we think it's kind of good, so we thought maybe we should. Yeah.
Maybe there is more, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll try at least.
So, your various quotes in the last few months about what this was going to sound like
Oh yeah, there's been a bunch.
kind of ended up sounding like the Hives, though, didn't it?
Yeah.
It was like-
Which is basically, to our ears, it is basically a combination of all the people, of all these things that have been mentioned. All the things that have been mentioned are things that we like and have been influenced by, but I think after playing together for 10 years, you get a strong enough identity as a band that your influences don't really take precedent over the way you sound as a band.
I mean, we could play Johnny B. Good on acoustic guitars and it would still sound like the Hives. It's just no way avoiding us sounding that way. And
Don't think we'd want to either.
no, but I mean, we think it's a big difference from the other 2 albums. Or, I mean, pretty much the same difference that were between Barely Legal and Enemy Vicious, we think is here too, but it's hard for us to tell really. So, if you think it sounds.
It's kind of
seems
hard
like
for us
people that-
because we heard you know, on the compilation album, so
Yeah.
we heard everything together.
Yeah.
So it's harder to trace the.
Yeah, the transition is
Yeah,
on.
that's true.
I think though that people that have listened to us for a long time and have been long-time fans of the band think that it's a really big difference. But people that just think of the Hives as, you know, they don't really can't really tell the difference.
No. And I mean, it's still the same sort of energy, but the sound is a bit drier and more mechanical, I guess.
It is drier, because when Susie first brought me a couple of tracks around, she's going, oh, they're not mastered, I'm not even sure. And I was thinking, yeah, because when they master that, there's a really, really nice quality to it, especially you hear the guitars, really, really dry and precise, and you hear the 2 guitars going, and I thought, well, when they master that, that'll all go, but it's not going to, is it? That's what you're...
No, we're going to try to keep that.
Yeah, I do, you know, it is. It's fantastic.
It was like the thing with the last record was that we wanted to make it sound kind of like the Enemy Vicious record. Was that we wanted to do it to make it sound kind of 60s, but or to have that sort of roomy sound, or like a room band in a room kind of sound, because it wasn't really, nobody was really doing that at the time. And it was also more a case of the songs being based on everybody playing the same riff. Because it was our way of making sure that it was as powerful as possible when we played clubs that had really lousy PAs and you couldn't hear the bass or you couldn't hear one guitar or whatever. So everybody played the same thing to make it as powerful as possible. And now it's more a case of everything playing their little parts and working together. So the guitars will have one part, won't really play at the same time as often and stuff like that. More of a clockwork kind of thinking.
No, there's some love. I think on Baby You're Alright and on lots of Beats for Brutus, there's the things where the guitars are like, the first time you hear it you think it's a guitar riff and you realise it's actually this one doing that and coming in and out, and it's really good. It's really interesting.
And we just had to do something to make ourselves play in a different way than we did last time. To keep it interesting for ourselves and also...
And then everyone comes in together on the chorus or whatever, and you got a whole new dynamic.
Yeah, exactly.
It's been, because I hadn't thought, because it's been a long time between albums for you.
Yeah, it's been a pretty long time.
Because you've been,
I think between the first and second it was 3 years, and now it's
Yeah.
4.5 really.
Yeah. So we take our time. But this time it was mostly because of...
because you've just been presumably just going from country to country
Yeah.
and you're becoming big and kind of like you can't stop.
The first pressing of the Venomous Vicious album was 500 copies. And then we sort of took it from there, and we got popular in one country at a time. And then we figured we were just a bit ahead of our time, so we had to keep touring until we got popular. And then eventually it worked.
Fortunately it worked, yeah.
So it got really hard to stop touring after a while, because we kept, like, we doubled our crowd every month, it felt like. So we kept at it for quite some time. And which meant that it was kind of weird getting back to, you know, making new music.
So were there any countries that you didn't win over?
Yeah, I mean, or
Some that we didn't go to.
yeah, we had to say to sort of stop
Yeah.
at the point where we stopped, because we thought that we can't do it anymore. We have to say no sometime. And
Otherwise
so
we would win 35 things.
Yeah,
and
so
so
we-
Becoming a nostalgia act before you even...
Yeah, so the things that we missed out on was South America, where we wanted to go, but we couldn't find the time really,
Yeah.
and we only did 2 shows in Japan, so we wanted to tour there as well, and we wanted to tour Australia, because we only played 1 festival there. But these places are all really far away, so it was kind of hard to sort that out in a short amount of time. But
Yeah.
I think we are gonna play those countries again now.
Yeah, we're
This
going there
tour.
now.
Yeah, I think we're going right after Christmas or something. We're gonna start.
And was there anywhere that you did play that just didn't get you?
I don't know. If so, we were too self-absorbed nowadays. But I don't know.
Not really.
In the beginning, nobody got it.
No.
Yeah.
The first 2 tours of mainland Europe, there would be like 9 people in the audience and 3 people would get it, and you know,
And those would try to
6
beat
would be
you up.
annoyed.
Yeah.
So there you go. Can't win everything.
But not really on the sort of on the last.
Since then, it's been pretty much
Yeah.
straight up, I
Yeah.
guess. But you know, everybody's not really supposed to get it, or everybody can get it. I mean, there are different ways of sort of getting it. There's one dimension to it that even really small kids can appreciate. It's a sort of head nodding good time of, you know, a rock and roll song, I guess.
Yeah.
Which, you know, is like 3-year-olds like AC/DC and 3-year-olds like us, apparently. So that's one dimension, which proves that it's not just, you know, about cool and being the right band at the right time.
Yeah.
There's something there's like a timeless aspect to rock and roll. It's just, you know, exciting and fun. And there's like so much other stuff going on with the band. Like you can you know, there's stuff in the lyrics that you could pick up on, or there's stuff in our philosophy of working that you could pick up on. There's like, you know, if you just like us because it's fun to nod your head to, that's fine. But you know, there's more to it than that.
Excuse me, we're supposed to drink coffee out of glasses.
Oh, yeah.
Do you mind having tea in a glass?
If it doesn't... Yeah, if
No,
it'll,
there's no cups.
Let's try it.
I didn't realise they brought the tea in as well. It's okay as long as it doesn't... Can you drink tea? It's going to shatter.
No, I think it should be fine. They do that in cafes in Europe.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. So,
Might be really
yeah.
hot though.
Yeah.
You want?
Is there, did they bring any milk?
I want some tea too.
You can see that they've brought the tea in.
The regular style tea.
I don't know if you want it.
I don't know, it seems like a lot of bands get angry with people for not getting the whole thing about the band.
Yeah.
Like they get angry at fans for just liking one little aspect of it. But
Yeah.
as long as, you know, people are what they are, you can't really control that, so it's fine. I think we end up really I can see that there are a million ways that you could hate yourself as a band after becoming popular if you come from sort of an underground background, but it's another thing we're trying to avoid, hating ourselves. We're doing a pretty good job so far.
What, do you come from an underground background, or just merely that previously you weren't successful, therefore by definition you're not underground? I mean, you're not.
We come from, I guess, a punk background. All the bands we played with in the early days were punk bands, and we pretty much
listen to.
Yeah, and we pretty much play. We pretty much play everywhere that we could play. It would mostly be with like hardcore punk bands, or it would be with even metal bands, or.
I see, but I come from a generation where punk bands wouldn't mind making money at all. Sex Pistols wouldn't mind.
No.
Money, or.
No, we don't mind either. It's not really the point.
Success isn't sort of not punk, really. It's
No.
kind of, it's what money does to you that screws it up.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, the money is all fine as long as it doesn't do what it could do,
So you built modernist houses, functionalist buildings. Is that true, or is that just
We've
a journalist?
No, we've actually been sort of restoring them. Nicholas bought a big one, and we've been helping him restore that a little bit.
These are from like 1930s, or?
Yeah. And my apartment is in the same style. I guess it just sort of, it had something, it connected somehow to our aesthetic, or sort of a minimalist thing, I guess.
Yeah, I can see that. I have this image of you all buying one. You didn't all buy one.
All of us didn't buy one, I don't even live in a house, I live in an apartment.
Yeah.
And I've got a more normal house.
Yeah.
But I mean,
We all basically bought house, somewhere to live.
Yeah.
It's what you do when you don't have anywhere to live and you get money.
but I mean, it's not like you can spend a lot of money at a house in Fagersta. It probably costs like a tenth of an apartment in London anyway.
So you will still live around?
Now, me and Nicholas lives in Fagersta.
Yeah. And they all live, I live in Stockholm and all the other guys live in the countryside, so to speak. And there's no way real estate in the countryside of Sweden is so cheap, there's no way you could really spend a lot of money on a house. So it doesn't really say anything about our money.
Yeah, but you could all have bought apartments in New York and houses in Florida.
Yeah, but we get to go there anyway. So.
That's true. That's a good point. So why is it is the album titled Tyrannosaurus, or is it Tyrannosaurus Hives?
Tyrannosaurus Hives.
Which
As
means-
hives instead of Rex.
Right. Okay. Meaning?
It just sounds badass, I guess. Now basically that we came up with a title and now we have to come up with a bunch of explanations for it
Yes,
to
you
say in
did.
interviews.
Yes, you did.
So one of them would be that the last one was the Venevidovicious album, which was our conquering record.
Yeah, which turned out to be true.
Yeah, exactly. And now we're massive, hence Tyrannosaurus Hives.
Fair enough.
The thing that's kind of hard to explain is that the actual thing isn't really around anymore.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could do it that way. Like we're a dinosaur.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a problem. You've set yourself up for that, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of bad puns coming our way, but we've had that all the time, though. The bee sneeze and all of that. Buzzing and
I never knew that. Is there a reason why you were Hives, or did it just sound like a good band name?
It's pretty much the same thing, as that name.
Yeah, sounded like a really good band name.
Yeah. And we wanted to have a word that sort of, whenever you heard it, you thought of the band, not of it, sort of another thing,
Yeah.
It might be the actual meaning. We wanted to sort of have a word that meant us, and the same thing with the clothes. We wanted to be really obvious that it was us. And so
The
we
music
wanted
as well.
Yeah, and we wanted to have a name that sort of weren't that used or commonly used or whatever.
Plus, all really good or successful band names are kind of, I don't know, inane or something. until you sort of have to conquer them for the band.
Yeah.
Like you don't really think of a Rolling Stone anymore.
Well, you know, the Beatles is about the stupidest name
Yeah, exactly.
there is. So it doesn't hold you back.
And it was also, the Hives was, Chris found it in a dictionary, and it said that it was a rash that you get from eating things, and we thought it was contagious, so then it made more sense.
Yeah.
But apparently it's not contagious and it's not lethal, so there we go. But as soon as you put, do you actually use it like that? I got the hives, or do you use it, I got hives?
I think I've got hives.
Yeah, that's the
It's
one.
more of an American thing than an English thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's sort of word I would have read in an American cartoon or something, and not quite known what it was.
Yeah.
You know, but knowing it was some kind of itchy, but not.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's hives rather than
I just like it because it's, most good band names are plurals and the definitive article, and it's, you know, it's short enough.
hives. Yep. Yep. While we're explaining things, what does Two Timing Touch and Broken Bones?
It's a song by the Hives
Yeah.
about a specific thing that happened to us.
Which was what?
I don't really want to explain it because the reason the lyrics are sort of diffuse is because we want there to be a mystery as to what happened, and we want people to sort of read in their own interpretations of it.
Yeah, I mean, you can think about it as something that happened to you instead of what actually happened to us.
Yeah. But we also always liked, what's that called, alliterations.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's two of them, a triple and a double. So Two Timing Touch and Broken Bones also sounds badass.
Yeah. That's good. If you were playing Scrabble, alliteration Scrabble, you'd score
Yeah.
points for that.
We're actually playing Scrabble in the new video, sort of.
Yeah.
Of course you are. Of course you are. I haven't seen it. I saw a still from it. And you're walking on walls.
Yeah,
Yeah, of course.
of course I
That's
have.
all rock gods do, of course.
I gotta get some sugar in my tea.
It's velocity.
You want a glass of tea? I don't really hear that question. Find the proper kind.
They found one glass that they use for everything, from water to whiskey and coffee and tea.
Yeah, we're really happy with that glass.
Yeah. Because we've done it.
Yeah, this is on the money. We can use it for everything.
Oh, that's very modernist, isn't it? That fits
Yeah, it's everything.
I guess it would. If half of it were porcelain, it would sort of be there, wouldn't you?
Half near. Yeah. So we just designed the ultimate combination glass cup.
There we go. I saw a cup in a shop yesterday. It was called the Dunking Cup. And the cup went down there, and then the bottom of the cup, this bit here, like, was a place to put your biscuit. So it was like a plate for the biscuit with the cup, so you could dunk.
Ah.
Which I think
Oh,
is-
dunking, okay.
Yeah, dunking.
Like
Yeah,
what we call
dunking.
dipping in Sweden.
Dipping, yeah, dipping.
So you take the cookie out like
Yeah,
that.
but it's kind of, I think it's fundamentally flawed because you have to dunk the whole cookie before you can drink, otherwise it falls out. I wouldn't have brought that up normally in an interview about it.
We were going on a cup sort of direction.
Yeah.
Just had to follow through.
Yeah, you can just put it here. Thank you.
You know what kind of cup would be great with that?
Yeah. I do.
Unicup.
I like the multi-cup.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's almost better.
Why don't we just announce it as 4? 4 cups.
Yeah, in one.
Okay.
Okay. So there's a. Do you have any worries that a proportion of your audience were kind of into you for sort of fashion reasons, that you were suddenly so hip that they might just have moved on to somebody else by now?
Yeah, of course, but I mean, as long as you get people from sort of like in other bands, because it's hip, that aren't as good, to like in our band, which we think is good. I mean, it's still good, but I mean, if they don't listen to us now, it's not really like we care at all.
It kind of feels like it would just go on proving what we thought all along, that the world is 70% run by idiots.
Yeah.
So they go back to liking whatever they liked. We get to keep playing music.
That we like, and
Yeah.
just
But now with more money
yeah,
from having been popular.
Yeah.
yeah, and still for a lot more people than we used to. And if the people that sort of went to see us because it was all in the press, if they don't come this time, it's not that sad, you know. It's just, I don't know.
Because you've still attracted the people that
Yeah,
to you.
and that's also kind of the thing. It's also the way England works as a whole, more so than other places.
Yeah, oh, very much so.
But for the back of being popular in England, we got popular in America, and America is a lot less fickle. But I don't know. It's nothing we really think about, because half the reason we're doing this band is because we want to, 20 years from now, we want to look back at it and be proud of what we did. And that has nothing to do with audience members up and down or record sales. Anyway, but and we've been too busy worrying about making a record, so we couldn't really care about that.
It all really comes down to us being sort of happy with what we've achieved. And that is everything from records to what contracts we signed to what videos to, I mean, what shows we played and how it looked and everything. So it's purely egoistical, you know, the way this band works. And we never started it to become successful and play to 50,000 people. We just wanted to.
We just did.
Yeah. So it's not like we sort of sit down and cry if we go back to playing in small clubs. I mean, as long as we think we're playing good.
Yeah.
It's sort of, we've achieved sort of what we wanted to achieve.
There's also a point to playing small clubs.
Yeah.
Usually the shows are better, but we started playing bigger places. We tried to keep playing smaller clubs, but we started playing bigger places because it just felt mean, because there were more people that wanted to see us and it didn't make sense anymore. So, not really worry, it's just the way we think that it's the way it is.
Yeah.
But we don't really worry a lot about it.
I'm assuming that Two Time in Touch and Broken Bones is going to be a single somewhere down the line. Cause
I don't know, because it's good.
yeah, because it would be huge.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's one of our favorites as well. One of the bands. Everybody in the band likes different songs of it. And everybody we played it to likes different songs. But I think Two Time in Touch is one of the ones that we all agree on.
Yeah. I mean, I love Diabolic Scheme, but it's not so much a single.
It could be an interesting
It could be a
single.
It'd be the fourth single. It's the Christmas song, isn't
Oh,
it?
I mean, we actually talked about it yesterday and thought that it would be a pretty good one.
Well, maybe
It'd be a pretty interesting choice single to see how people reacted to it.
Because it's even though it's the slowest song, it has a lot of energy.
Yeah,
And
It's intense for a band.
yeah, it's slow by your standards. It's not necessarily a slow song. It's great. It's I love the guitar solo in it. I think it's fantastic. It's like to me the definitive guitar solo is the second guitar solo on Hound Dog, Scotty Moore.
Oh yeah.
And it's just bam, 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 bam. Just like you could do that in 1956 or whatever, and people wouldn't say, do that again in tune. You know?
Yeah, that's great.
It's got that same thing, and then the whole thing just slows, just the fade at the end, which I like. It's really good, the fade at the end. And then there's a bit on the drums at the end, with just this extra little thing on the kick drum, which is cool. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah. Thank you, Bob.
Yeah. It's just like so. It's just.
Thank you for noticing.
His work.
Yeah. Right. No, it's interesting because I kind of at that point I go back and think, is that a beat in this song? Because I haven't, and you want to go back and go, oh.
It was supposed to be a beat that you didn't think about, that was just there.
Exactly, and then and you think, well, that's actually the more of that. I wasn't expecting that to be there. And I had to go back and listen and see how that was interesting.
Yeah, you actually, it's exactly what we were aiming at, actually. I'm glad somebody noticed. You don't really expect people to notice what you do.
I really like that. Just that little sort of slow down. Does it, do you take a long time recording, or do you
we take a really long time rehearsing.
Yeah.
And then we sort of just play in a room, which can't really take that long. But
as much as you try, you couldn't take years to record it.
But the rehearsing part is actually...
Yeah, it takes forever.
Yeah, it takes forever.
So a lot of it in the studio is played as a band?
Everything.
Everything
except the sort of,
the obvious overdubs that would be like, we didn't play the strings live in the room.
but all the guitars, drums and bass and a lot of vocals as well, I think.
Yeah.
It's sort of one take, and that's the way we've always done it. There's just no point losing the sort of magic that you get from playing together. If I were to record the drums, they'd be perfect, and blah blah blah, everything would be.
And then everybody puts their thing on, and after a while you realize that it didn't sound the same.
You just lose so much of sort of what's there when you play together.
And almost everybody does that.
You lose that, and also you lose a lot of time. That stuff takes forever. We wanted to make it sort of sound a lot more studio, this record, but not necessarily do it in a studio sort of way. So we had to just isolate everything a lot more, but we still wanted to play everybody at the same time, because then you hear immediately if it's good, or if the track works or not. It's also such a weird thing for bands to rehearse forever together and then not play together when they're recording the record.
It's really strange. Because
it's a situation you never practice, to sit down and play guitar by yourself with headphones. So then you might as well rehearse that way and just record the stuff over and over again.
Which of course is another reason why bands fall apart.
Because they don't have to be in the studio.
They sit there for hours waiting for, right, this week we're doing the drums.
And this thing where the drummer does his part and then leaves and doesn't come back until it's mixing time or whatever.
Exactly.
It's really strange.
How everybody was in the studio the whole time.
Yeah, and plus everything from drums to his vocals, we're all such a big part of everything. It's not like I play the drums and that's it, we talk about everything for at least 2 days, before we sort of record it, to sort of make everything perfect, and everything has to have a thought and blah blah blah. So it's, I don't know, it's the way we do it, I guess.
We just, there's a lot of talking and theorizing it, and then there's a lot of rehearsing, and playing it is basically pretty simple.
And plus the thing that you get from sort of recording a live sort of set, or 5 of us at the same time, is the times that you make sort of mistakes, which really often is a lot better than having the song perfect, because you sort of, there needs to be some sort of error in it, because it's
the human factor is pretty important.
Yeah, it sounds better if there's a few mistakes in it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it sounds too sort of
Def Leppard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's the thing where we wanted everything to sound like machine parts basically, and have a very sort of stiff and monotonous sound. but also have the tempo sort of go up and down, because otherwise if you program it on a drum machine it doesn't sound interesting. But if you use drum machine like sounds or try to make the drums sound like drum machines and then actually play, it's a lot more interesting.
Really interesting.
Philosophically as well, it's like using, like what we talked about a couple of times before, like using humans to sound like machines as opposed to using machines to make it sound like humans.
Yeah.
Which is what's popular these days
Yeah,
in music.
to do that with machines would actually be incredibly complicated because you'd spend days programming the way that tempo changed.
Yeah.
Why bother?
And people do that.
Might as well just play it.
And I mean, the fun thing is that people thought that it was sort of loops and stuff on Veni Vidi Vicious,
Yeah.
which is
You
really
use
strange.
drum machines, don't
Yeah,
you?
I thought, hate to say it, I Told You So was done on a computer. I wonder what people are going to think now.
Yeah, it's even worse, actually.
I mean, you can actually play.
Yeah. I mean,
After 11 years, we'd be a sad band if you couldn't play a straight beat for 3 minutes. It's just that it's not very popular to play a straight beat for 3 minutes.
I hate to say I Told You So is really the first thing you learn on drums, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
When
It's
people
boom,
thought, oh,
bum,
you can't
boom,
do that,
bum.
you know. It's got to be.
You can't use that on the record, right? It's too... Why is he playing it?
Yeah, and it's like, oh, I mean, a person can't play that. It's, it doesn't work. It's got to be a loop.
It's really lesson 1A.
Yeah.
Now, at this point, I'd usually ask you about how you all got together, but then we get into this whole weird Randy Fitzsimmons thing that you're not going to talk about, are you?
Yeah, I mean, we might talk about it, but it's not
It's
like...
just a few questions that we can't answer
Okay, well.
for reasons of, secrecy or whatever. But we'll talk about it as much
Okay,
as
well,
you
here's
like.
the bit I don't get right.
Okay, and we'll start in that then.
Assuming that there's any truth in it at all, which I'm going to assume, work on the hypothesis that there is someone else. The story goes that he sent you all letters.
Yeah.
How would
We
he-
didn't have email in '93.
Yeah, but how would he know who the hell to send the letters to?
He knew who we were.
You were all in other bands, or? I mean,
No, we weren't in bands at all. Some of us didn't even play. But we were all interested in music.
Right.
And there not being that many people in Fagersta interested in the kind of music that we were all interested in, I guess it was kind of natural.
So he was someone you knew. It wasn't like him writing 5 total strangers and going.
Maybe and maybe not.
That's the part where
That's the part.
we're not going to tell you his age, where he's from, and what else.
It's just getting more interesting by the day, this
Of course,
thing. Because
of
it's,
Of course, yeah. A bit of mythology always helps.
And was it Enemy that thought they'd solved it by checking who collected the
I
money?
think it was Time Out did that.
But I mean, it's not
And
like...
Time Out had a different version. They said it was some guy from KLF or something.
No, they said that, and then they went to the whoever collects the royalty. I don't know what they.
Oh yeah, they called them and asked who collected the money.
And he said it was
Nicholas.
a pseudonym, and the real name was a Swedish name, and he was born in 1977. That's the extent of the investigative. Me, I'm not an investigative journalist.
But it didn't really seem like investigative journalism because
It's sort of
it's,
the first thing you look at, and
Yeah.
if you
we have to have somebody collect the money, and if it was actually Randy Fitzsimmons, he'd be exposed pretty much.
I just think the name Randy Fitzsimmons is kind of a slightly weird name to
Very,
pick on.
pretty un-Swedish.
It's pretty un-Swedish.
Yeah, but there are a lot of
Also,
there are a lot of Australian people living in Japan too.
But also, you don't come across as people who need someone else to write your songs for you.
Who needs?
Yeah.
They're just good. I don't know. They're playing as long as they're good. Although we do get more, as we sort of grow into it, we do get a lot more say.
Yeah.
Now his song ideas could be just like a lyric or an idea to write a song, and then we'll do something based on that. Whereas it used to be full sort of, most of the music, and like he'd have a verse and a chorus and all of them mapped out, and then we'd do the sort of transition bits and all. But
And
now
it's,
there's
I mean,
less of it usually.
Yeah.
But it's not really the 5 of us and him. It's more like the 6 of us, you know.
Yeah, it's very collaborative.
Yeah.
So the writing and recording and stuff you all do together, he just doesn't want to be in the public face of the band.
Yeah, not the recording. He doesn't do any recording.
But I mean, it's like his idea, and then we sort of make a song out of it.
Yeah.
Or I mean, it's all of those came about in different ways, but it's everything from, as Pelle said, a lyric or a riff to almost a complete song.
So, for example, Diabolic Scheme.
We're not going to tell you which ones.
Specifically which ones.
Which, oh.
But it would be, I mean, it will be either like the entire thing sometimes.
Yeah.
Apart from like what notes to play in the guitar solo, if any. Or it would be like, we have to have a song based on this, and then we talk about, you know, we'd talk around the lyrical theme of the song for a long time and just figure out what we thought about things, and then we'd have to put something together to sing out that.
So it's actually not that mysterious at all.
You know, he's mysterious because people don't know who he is, and it's kind of this thing where it started to live its own life, but you know, mysterious or not mysterious, you know, it's kind of fun that people get so annoyed at it, because in today's culture everybody wants to be famous, and as soon as somebody comes around that doesn't want to be in the public eye, yeah, exactly, how dare you?
Yeah.
What's wrong with him? Who is he? It becomes very interesting as soon as somebody, and I just think it's pretty sane, and you know, like in a culture where everybody wants to be on TV, it's the same thing to do pretty much.